Ahoy, ladies and gents, welcome to the BBC Spews on the 13th of June. How's everyone doing? Good weekend? I didn't. Mainly I was working it. It never stops in Bootneckville. How's everyone doing? Who's in? Let's have a look. Professor Andy, Mystics Fusing, he's late. Oh. I think... Are we on a different time zone in the UK? Is that why I'm late? Because I don't think I'm late. UK time, let me have a look. Like 7 p.m. I thought we'd got to 6 there. So why is that message at 10 past fucking 10 in the morning? That's not late. That's 50 minutes early. Anyway, the ramblings of a madman's in. John Under, Professor Andy, Online Killer. Kate is in. Hello, Kate. Scouse Obi, Whiskey Straight Al's all right. How are you? Ragnar, Dave Che, Al Lloyd, Matt Oliver, Jeff Wedden, Papa Golf, Ginger Mongoose, Stevie Ray, Sid Cannon, a sensible, a wise Scouser is Sid Cannon, Nick Yak, Davey Mitchell, Kev Keener, Amanda Sky, Mr. Myrtle, Scrappy Doo, Robert Ewan, Blue Van Man, Luke Ansell, and anybody else I've missed, welcome to the show. Right, first things first, obviously, it is the BBC Spews, so we've got to start with the BBC, even if the BBC is talking about bumming. I'll tell you what, like, are they going to change his name to Bum Lightyear? Who knew that you just had to insert things like this into kids movies? Or who knew that Woody had to insert something into Buzz Lightyear? The old ones are the best, aren't they? Yeah, it was all right when we were kids, you know. When I was a band, there was no need for Woody to clamber inside Buzz, but now they just can't get away from it. Although I might be jumping the gun here because I haven't read the story all the way through. I just seen the headline and thought that'll be fun. Sometimes I prefer to just do them on the cuff while everyone's watching because you know, I think my shock as I read it adds a little something. A little je ne sais quoi to the stream. Matt, have you seen all the non-ES being let off as long as they apologise? Oh, yeah. See, I covered that ages ago. That's not new. That isn't a new story, is it? I seen the Lotus Heaters covered it, but it was at least a month back when I seen Mark Steins talking about these community orders where basically, I mean, let's be honest. That's what I did mention this on my Twitter. I was going to talk about it. Let's be honest. Let's just have our cards on the table. Again, irrefutable logic and irrefutable scientific observable facts, right? Let's just, and as usual, Bootneck being the fence-sitting wanker that he is, I'm sure I can upset both sides of the political spectrum here, both left and right, because first of all, let me just say this unequivocally to people on the right who will argue with me, I'm sure. In the old days, it is undeniable that minorities did get stitched up by the justice system, right? That it's pretty undeniable. There is documented facts, especially in the United States, less so in the United Kingdom. But it is obvious, you know. You'd get like some black bloke who'd be selling ganja and the next thing he gets 8 years for it. It did happen. It's a statement of fact, right? And it might upset people on the right to know it. It did happen. But, and this is where the left get angry, even though it's irrefutable. Well, they get angry when you point them at facts and evidence, don't they? What happens in the real world, right? Everybody knows this. What happens in the real world is, because we are deeply flawed creatures, we're monkeys with clothes on, doing our best in these crazy, crazy times we find ourselves, what you get is a pendulum effect, right? So you do something, and then it's like a pendulum. It's with politics. It's why you get, like, typically, check the statistics, it's more common for the incumbent to win an election. Because it's a pendulum, you typically get this sort of swing. And that's why it's perfectly reasonable and factual to now say, and this will drive the woke fucking wild with fury. It's perfectly reasonable to now say that white privilege isn't a fucking thing anymore. If you just look at what's happened there, it's the pendulum. So for years and years, minority groups were getting stitched up because there was such a small number of them that were getting stitched up, like happened with regards to Catholic and Protestant hiring practices and discrimination in Northern Ireland when things changed. It was a thing, but the pendulum has swung back and we've done an overcorrection. And in this quest to ensure everybody got treated equally under the law, it's gone. And now it hasn't just swung to the left, it's swung all the way up at Tony Blair's arsehole. And it's an obvious fact that now the privilege lies with the minority groups, because the amount of fucking shit I can point you at, lefty whingers, that will prove me right would blow your mind if I was to put any amount of effort into it. So let's not waste everybody's time. And I'm not going to start tropes trailing through the internet showing you, but there's dozens that we can probably, every one of us watching this, that's checked the newspapers in the local press, the local hometown, know it. I remember reading one back in the northeast where like 4 Somalian birds kicked the ever-loving shite out of some fat Geordie lass. And as they were giving her a good shoeing, they were shouting, "Kill the white slag," right? And none of them got a custodial sentence. They got a slap on the wrist and a fine. Because, well, why do you think? Because they were the right colour, and they said, "Oh, it's not our fault. We're followers of the religion of pieces, and we're unused to drinking alcohol. So we kicked the fuck out of this fat Geordie bird whilst chanting racial epithets and threatening to murder people based off the skin colour. But it's not our fault. It's your fault, infidels, for selling us fucking Lambrini, 6 bottles of 2020 and a bottle of Bucky. It's your fault, infidel." So that's a known fact. And if you're some woke, left-wing, fucking chinless wonder and you want to argue the toss, just fucking Google it. You're wrong. I can point at any number of things. And yes, I've just talked about the pendulum, so don't think you're refuting me when you point me towards a fucking story from 1976 that shows the opposite is true. I know it was true, but that was then, and this is now. That's why we need to stop with the endless fucking Nazi slurs, isn't it? Because that was then, and this is now. To have a pop. Nobody does it anyway, do they? They don't do it with people that aren't white, do they? So we love talking about the Germans. Oh, the fucking Nazis. Everyone's a fascist or a Nazi. Everybody loves talking about Mussolini or Adolf, but nobody brings up the rape of Nanking, the Japanese bayoneting babies in the 1930s. They love saying, "Oh, George Washington, he was an horrible bastard, wasn't he?" But they don't bring up the Japanese bayoneting fucking babies in the 1930s. It wasn't even that long ago. You go, what about the Japanese gang raping fucking 100,000 women? And they go, oh yeah. Well, what about Britain in 1723? What's that got to do with anything? Can we live in the now, please? Can we live in the now, please? And this is something sensible people have been saying for a while, Davy boy, my codhead friend. When you coax all this bitterness and resentment and hostility in the majority by playing these identity politics games, eventually it's going to swing back. So what you're going to get as a result of this endless pendulum is basically you're creating the next generation of fucking fascists. And this was what, again, those of you that actually read the newspapers and have a long memory are aware of. Michael Howard, the former Conservative leader. Anyone under the age of about 30 probably doesn't know what I'm talking about. But Michael Howard was the former Conservative leader. And He was the child of Jewish immigrants that fled the Holocaust. And he pointed out, he said that exact same thing. I'm almost quoting him verbatim. He said, if you don't grasp, accept, and deal with the concerns of normal working class people when it comes to immigration and the treatment or lack of treatment of the white working class majority, if you don't deal with ordinary people's ordinary concerns when it comes to things like grooming gangs or gangs of Somalians booting the shite out of little fat Geordie birds and all getting a slap on the wrist for it, you're creating the next generation of Nazis, and not pretend ones, real ones. So this needs to be addressed very quickly. You can call people like me reasonable centrist chaps, or I mean, look how milquetoast most of them are. Sargon of Akkad is the most. Again, I'm not slagging him off. I like the bloke. You can almost call him my inspiration. I probably wouldn't have started doing this if it wasn't for him. Genuinely like the bloke, but he's fucking milquetoast. There is nothing the man says that is unreasonable. I think I'm a little bit more controversial, but I mean, still, I would struggle to call myself right wing. And you can label people like me and him, and again, Paz, all the people I like, Bert when we got a problem, Simon Sideways. I told you Voltaire's Ghost was my favourite, but he disappeared. None of those people are fascists, Nazis, or even very right-wing. Simon Sideways is right-wing, but he's not very right-wing, is he? And this idea that we can just wish it all away by calling people names is completely upside down. Because all you're doing when you do this is creating the next generation of hardcore fucking Nazis, because that's how you create them. Everyone takes a few steps to the right, the more discrimination, the more grooming gangs that get ignored. I mean, I've said this before. Tony fucking Romo, those who you know, Tony Romo, I'm not allowed to say his real name. He's not very eloquent. He's not an amazing, charismatic, charming, handsome, eloquent speaker. He's just a bloke. What do you think made people take those additional steps to the right? Or people that have fell off the centrist fence and are now demonstrably hardcore right-wingers or far right. What do you think convinced them to turn far right? One working class bloke talking in a not particularly eloquent manner, or seeing the systematic torture and rape of thousands of children? Answers on a postcard. So, like I keep saying, you have to try and remain as good-humoured about all this as you can, and just laugh about the fact that we're going to hell in a handbasket and all the people in charge do everything wrong. Everything wrong. The way to stop people turning into right-wingers who are intolerant is not to demonise Tony Romo and lock him in jail for nothing and turn him into a martyr. It's to deal with the reasonable concerns of the reasonable majority, which is, why can these black women knock the shite out of a young lass and all get let off for it? And why can these followers of a very specific religion burn, brand, torture, and skull-fuck children and get let off with it? Why did the police pull up in a car park seeing a fucking grown man getting a gobble off a 12-year-old and go and drive off without saying a word? I mean, have you read the book Easy Meat? Some of those stories are unbelievable. A copper rocked up, looked in the car, sees this geezer getting a chew off a child, and when he said, "What's she doing?" and the bloke, the foreign gentleman, said, "She's sucking me off, mate." Smugly, because he knew he was going to get away with it, the copper just wound the window up and fucking drove off. And ask yourself this. If a grown man, a big fat ginger bloke from Leeds, was getting a gobble off a 10-year-old, do you think the policeman would be on his way there? They've got the whip hand now, which is exactly what Enoch said, didn't he? And again, I'm not a big fan of Enoch. My father hates him. He always told me, although my dad's a very contrarian man, he said he was a lefty arsehole and he just sort of jumped on the bandwagon. So my old man's not a big fan of him either, but think about it. That's what he said. They've got the whip hand. And when people are not treated equally under the eyes of the law, that one thing does more to turn them, to convince them that the system isn't working than anything someone like Tony Romo can say. Anything. It's just words. Words are wind. Actions are what matter. It doesn't matter what some right-wing guy says. It matters what the state does. And someone like Tony Romo, who isn't even particularly, as I've said, charismatic. I mean, he's not tall and handsome, is he? He's a little short ass. Scrappy fella, though, so all credit to him for that. But he's a little short ass. He's not good looking. He doesn't turn out in a tweed suit and dazzle the ladies with his fucking charismatic. Doesn't dazzle the ladies with his charismatic way of speaking. He's just a normal bloke. Stop answering these fucking. Hang on, let me just turn it off. No, what? I'll text. One moment, sorry. You can see I've been busy. I don't even want to work full time anymore. Bootneck's like sort of sensible with his cash and thinking, yeah, I don't need to work full time anymore. Now I'm getting fucking harassed endlessly because apparently most people who work for a living nowadays are grossly incompetent. Anyway, that's off. It's just an obvious fact. And it really needs to be addressed, this stuff. It's not people like me and Sargon talking that's causing these problems. It's the entire machinations of the state being bent towards this woke ideology that was invented to fucking turn people against each other and stoke resentment and bitterness and hostility. So please sort it out. It really shouldn't be left to people like me to fucking talk about this stuff, should it? Anyway, I just went on it. That was meant to be accompanied by the story I'm going to show you in a minute. So as usual, I'm bouncing around, although not bouncing around as much as fucking Buzz Lightyear's sexuality. So let's quickly read this and then I'll get back to what I was talking about. So Disney and Pixar's latest film has been banned from cinemas in the United Arab Emirates because it contains a same-sex kiss. Why do little kids need to see fucking blokes necking on with each other? Why? What possible reason is there for that? Again, I'm not having a pop at any groups, but just leave it out. Leave the 10-year-olds to be 10-year-olds. Why do they need to see blokes necking on with each other? I don't want to see Buzz fucking Lightyear and yogurt potting with one of his chums, Mr. Potato Head. I don't want to see Buzz sucking baby gravy out of Mr. Potato Head's fucking brown eye. See what I did there? Eye, potato, eye. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Just leave it out. Can we just... in fact, I don't want to talk about this too much because it annoys me. Disney awoke, and I've made videos about it. I did one last couple of months ago. Everyone that's paying attention knows that Disney awoke, and they're trying to brainwash kids. And if you've seen the numbers, it's quite staggering. It's like every decade, higher and higher percentages of kids go, oh yeah, I'm definitely Elton fucking John on poppers. It's mad. So figure that one out. Obviously, we know it's bad for people, and I've explained to you why we know it's bad for people. So let's just call it there, shall we? I may as well. I was going to do a few more, but I've rambled for so long. I can't do every story I want to do. The story that led me into that extremely angry tirade that I've just finished was this one, which, if you haven't seen, was on Simon Webb's channel. I'll tell you what I want to say about Simon Webb. I'm a big fan of Simon's, right? I've told you guys I like listening to him. He's got a very soothing voice. He doesn't swear and cuss like me, and he's just eloquent and good to listen to. But I'll tell you what stuns me. I don't understand how he gets away with it. You know, I've talked about like this theory that YouTube just let basically to try and alleviate the fact that they hamstring 9 out of 10 channels that don't toe the woke line. They seem to allow a few to slip the net, and then the rest of them just get smashed with a banhammer. So, like I said, Bearing was one who he showed them what a right-wing YouTuber could do, because he went from like no subs to like 400,000 in about 3 months. So my theory is that's what they do. They'll allow one or two to break the chains. And then for every one they do that with, they'll hamstring 500. And I think Simon must be another one of them, because I don't understand how he gets away with it. Like, I completely avoid using the M word. I use long, flowery descriptions to try and get around it. Simon just fully makes videos saying, like, these blokes can do whatever the fuck they like because they're foreign. And I'm sitting here going, "Wow, this is mad, this." Like, even the titles of his videos, I would shit myself if I even thought about titling a video with the M bombing. It's got the M word and then a big crescent, like, you know, the symbol. And I was like, holy shit, if I even attempted to to do a video like that, they would have me by the balls faster than you can say, "Fuck you, Booty." So that's a bit mad. But he's the one who put me onto this story. And I couldn't believe this. This is just another one. So I'm not going to bother boring you with the Georgie story I was telling you about, or any of the dozens that I'm sure any of you that pay attention can do. But I will cover this one because it's just so flagrant. This fucking lunatic who works for Waitrose, right? And you know Waitrose is tolerant. It's the most left-wing, middle-class arsehole supermarket, isn't it? It's like, again, I know people that aren't from the UK probably find it weird that I'm calling a supermarket chain left-wing, but there's a pecking order in the UK. There's Morrison's, which is what your average Yorkshire council estate dweller like myself will go to. And then there's like a little bit higher than Morrison's. Actually, below Morrison's, you've got Aldi, Lidl, and Netto, which is, yeah, scrubber. And then Morrison's is like slightly above them. These are working class people that have a job, right? And then you've got Sainsbury's, which is pretty posh. And then at the top of the fucking tree, I don't think this phenomena exists in the United States. Sadwings might be able to tell me. I don't think it exists in the United States, where you've got this pecking order of supermarkets. And then at the top of the tree, you've got Waitrose and Marks and Sparks. They're posh, them. Only posh people shop there. So you know that the fact that this was at Waitrose is this guy's probably had more leeway than he deserves anyway. But here we are. Let's just read this because it's fucking lunacy. If you haven't seen it. A Waitrose worker has won nearly 50 grand in compo after he was sacked for scaring his boss by texting him, "I found a knife." Obviously, that's his name. Don't even want to say it. You can't say anything bad about the fucking Nancy prophet, can you? You can't. So he was fired from his job. He sent to Matthew Ford a message saying, "Here's me knife I've found. When will I see you next?" And sent him a series of emojis of a smiley face with heart eyes. As he's found his fucking knife, right? The police were called, and the Waitrose worker, who'd been with the company for 17 years, was searched when he arrived for his shift. Despite this police taking no further action, Mr. Kabir was sacked for serious misconduct for causing Mr. Ford distress. And you can note that the media is trying to make it out like Mr. fucking Kabir didn't do anything wrong, despite the police taking no further action. Yeah, because he probably didn't have the knife on him. But if you, seriously, anybody who's watching this, if you texted your boss, "Hey, I found a knife," and then loads of pictures of a knife and some emojis with hearts in their eyes, "When will I see you next?" they would be very justified in thinking, this balmy bastard is going to put a few holes in my lungs. Totally reasonable. And all of these tribunals are supposed to be working off what's reasonable. I defy you to find me a normal person that thinks sending your boss messages, "I've found a knife, you fucker," is unreasonable or reasonable behavior. Anyways, because of where he comes from and what his name is, the tribunal found it was unfair to dismiss him, as his bosses did not take into account his apology and upset at having unintentionally scared his boss. There you go. So if the bloke's name was Bob Brown from Borough, if Bob Brown from Borough texted his boss fucking knives, "Hey, I've found a knife. When will I see you next?" and then loads of emojis, I defy you to tell me that bloke wouldn't be sacked And when he even attempted to bring it up and say that was a bit unfair, everybody would laugh in your face and say, what are you doing? What are you doing texting your boss? I've just found a knife. Lol, well, we'll see you next, you mad bastard. But he's obviously from Bangladesh, moved to the UK in 2002. So fuck it. I mean, we should all take that as a win, really. We should all take that as a win, really, because at least he's getting paid his massive lump sum from a private company. And at least he didn't diddle any fucking 7-year-olds and get completely let off for it by a state and a police department that is complicit and actively assists these people. So, hey, I'll take that as a win. Taxpayers don't have to fund the bill, and he hasn't bounced on an 8-year-old shitbox. So let's take that as a win. Yeah, we take our small victories where we can get them in modern Britain. So yeah, nice one. Yeah, I used to text my boss about knives. Old Stewie used to laugh, did he? Yeah. Hey, Stewie, I'm going to stab you in the eye with this big knife. Fucking hell, calm down. I was only joking, mate. Steady on. Yeah, I found a knife and I don't know what to do. It's just talking to me, man. It's crying out to be released from its sheath. Put somewhere nice, like your face, you cunt. So that's funny, isn't it? Totally let off with it. But at least he didn't bum any 8-year-olds. So we'll take that as a win. British justice is working as intended. Nice one. Right, let's do something else on the BBC, because it's a bit daft calling it the BBC Spews, so I'm going to do Wales Online all the time, isn't it? Here's a good one. What I've learned about Africa living in Marseille. Well, I'll tell you what I learned from this story. Again, this is a good piece of evidence of what I've been telling you not for years, which is listen to what the bootneck tells you. Because what have I been telling you for the last 2 years? Don't go to France. That's what the bootneck's been telling you. Don't go to France. I would rather take a vacation inside the Jolly Green Giant's arsehole. 2 weeks seeing the sights around his colon. There is no place worse than France. I'd rather spend 2 weeks inside one of the rolls of flab around Diane Abbott's midriff. I'd rather vacation inside a giant armpit. It is an absolute shit pit. I've talked about France loads of times because I'm not kidding. I went there when I was a teenager. I was a young lad. It was sound. Smelt of wine and fresh baked bread. Now it smells like a goat herder's ring piece. You go to the romantic Eiffel Tower and you're more likely to get bayoneted in the face by a fucking tribesman than you are to get a gobble off your beloved. So trust me, do not go to France. That's the one thing I learned. What I learned about France from reading the BBC. So there you go. But this is funny, isn't it? Because this confirms what I've always said about fucking France. Look at this. In the wonderfully chaotic neighborhood of Noël in downtown Marseille, France, I came to the unfortunate realization that it is much easier to learn about African cultures when living abroad. No. Not when living abroad. If you go somewhere like, I don't know, anywhere in the Visegrad 4, if you go on holiday to Hungary or Poland or Slovakia, you won't be learning too much about African culture. However, if you go on holiday to one of the major cities in Western Europe, thanks to 4 decades of incompetent, weak, quisling, cowardly, dirty, rat, sneaky, snake, bastard, Euro trash scum politicians, if you go to any of the cities that they're in charge of, yeah, it is the best place to learn about fucking foreign countries, isn't it? It says, this paradox hit me in the face as I sat for dinner on a plastic folding chair at a Tunisian restaurant in Noël. Oh, yeah, living the high life there. Plastic folding chair. That's how the chavs eat the fucking tea and toast in the middle of the street in Middlesbrough. On a plastic folding chair. Seriously, you drive through a council estate in Borough and you'd be like, and then you take a wrong turn. And the next thing, there's a family of 4 on fucking deck chairs having the tea and toast in the middle of the street. I've never understood it. I mean, if your living room is that much of a shithole, get the vacuum cleaner out. Don't pull your folding chairs into the middle of the street when I'm trying to get to fucking work, you pot-belly, foul-smelling oiks. But anyway, let's not have a pop. Let's not have a pop. We're talking about this fella. Between large spoonfuls of foreign shite, I watched a retired Comorian couple strolling down the street past a Senegalese shop selling beignets. That's a donut, in it. It's a foreign donut. Like many Comorians I have observed in Marseille, the gentleman wore a rich golden cap with fucking verses from the most dog shit novel in history. That one of the worst fictional books in all of fucking. Why is that not in the non-fiction section? Have you read it? Have you fucking? I sat through like 2/3 of it when I was in Afghanistan. I got a translated version and I thought, know your enemy. I read it. I was like, this reads like the ramblings of a madman. I've read more logical, reasonable things daubed in human feces on the side of a fucking bus station. It's shit. So anyway, yeah, that was daubed on the side of his hat. Winner. Curiosity got the better of me, so I quickly searched Comoro hat on the internet and searched what he was wearing. It's called a kofia, and they wear it on a daily basis as a status symbol. That enriching, yeah, I'm loving life now. I've learned that. Would have been virtually impossible in Algeria, where I'd lived for the previous 7 years, and rarely interacted with people of other races or nationalities. Well, there we fucking go. So again, this is the point I would take home from this story. Why is it that diversity is only being forced upon people in the West? Why is it that Algeria can be for the Algerians? And if you go to Algeria, you just see other Algerians. And if you go to Japan, you just see other Japanese people. But for some reason, if you go to bastard France, you might as well be on the moon in a science fiction dystopia 2,000 years in the future, where everybody's living together in a giant homogeneous melting pot that everybody hates. It's shit. Sure, sometimes you find Tunisians or Moroccans in Algeria, but we only know the culinary and sartorial delights of our own culture. Fucking hell. Culinary and sartorial delights, really? In Algeria? Oh, am I thinking of a different Algeria? Sartorial. No, sartorial is on Savile Row. This is where the Western snob in me comes out. Sartorial is Savile Row. Sartorial isn't big fuck off black bin liner with a slot in it. I mean, again, maybe I apologize if I'm offending any of your non-Western sensibilities, but I don't think it takes much effort to do that. I reckon I could make something of similar precision and intricacy in 30 seconds, armed with a bin liner and a set of fucking garden shears. So I don't even think it's right to call it culinary and sartorial delights. But what do I know? What do I know? Since I moved to Marseille last month, I've met more than a dozen Africans of different nationalities. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's great. Look at that street. Fucking nice one. Nice one. It's well smart. Well smart. I'm loving that. I'll tell you what, I'd rather walk to the fucking gallows than walk down that street. It's just a fucking dump. What you can't see there, the Photoshop the woman tipping a bucket of shit out the top window like you're living in 3 centuries earlier. Just shit in the street. Who cares? Whoosh, lands on your beignet. They just dust it off and sell you the cunt. So, yeah, I have to go. I'm dragging this out a little bit. Don't go to France is the takeaway from that one. Don't go to France. Diversity is only for middle-class arseholes in Western countries. People led by middle-class arseholes in Western countries, they don't live in a diverse area. They live in a fucking gated community, nowhere near them. You know who's got to hang around with these people? You do, working-class scum. You do. Because fuck you. So when you're getting bayoneted in the face by an Algerian on London Bridge, at least as you slip to the floor and your lifeblood empties itself from your body in a nice canonic spray, you can at least think, well, at least Angela Merkel's in a fucking castle. Yeah, winner. So yeah, bollocks to that story. Don't visit France. Take it from me. Stay somewhere safe. And then I've got time for my last story that I wanted to cover. I feel like I have to do them all because I put it up on Twitter. And actually, nice segue, because I put out there, Trump pulls a Nostradamus, because I want to show you this. Again, I hope the audio works, because it's a bit shit with StreamYard. This is my final one of the day. Watch this video. I found this on Twitter. Quality. Look how good Donald Trump's predictions are. Prepare to be astounded, because I fucking was. Let me see if I can blow that up for you a little bit. So I've just talked about how diversity is only for you and the rich don't have to deal with it. Look at these predictions from Trump and tell me if you think he was on the money or not. Are you ready? Let's have a go.
They're making some pretty bold predictions about how things would turn out. You might remember some of the predictions.
They're coming for your guns, they're coming for your jobs, and they're coming for your freedom. They hate American energy, and Joe Biden will shut it all down. He's going to.
That if I became president,
Biden's elected, he will wipe out your energy industry.
Another prediction that is my favorite one, I must add, is that if I got elected,
Gas prices going $5, $6, $7 for a gallon. Flood your communities with criminal aliens, drugs, and crime while they live behind beautiful gated compounds.
There you go. I mean, I'll leave it there. That was like 48 seconds. And how good was that? How good was that? Like, I used to call him the orange god for a crack, but he's clearly got the gift of fucking foresight, because that was mad. He was like, yes, he's going to fuck the energy industry. Yes, gas prices are going to massively rise as a result of it. Yes, there's going to be a crisis at the border because they're not enforcing the law anymore. The man is a fucking paragon. So, hey, and as you all know, I didn't vote for him first time around. I could. I'm an American citizen now. I didn't vote for him. I was clinging to the delusion that I was still a centre-left chap in America because, I don't have time for the Baptist preacher types. But look what you made me do. Now I'm going balls deep in the MAGA movement, because the alternative is lunacy, delusion, endless lies. Oh, gas prices haven't gone up. Well, all right then. I'm just fucking filling my tank with magic. Gas prices haven't gone up. That fucking lunatic who we just hired for the press secretary went on TV the other day and with a straight face said the economy's the best it's ever been. I mean, did everybody see that? I'm not even making it up. It was like, historically, if you look, our economy's doing the best it's ever been. What a fucking psychopath. I did indeed. I wrote in Tulsi Gabbard, and I went to see Tulsi Gabbard at LAX and shook her hand. That was about 2 years ago now, I think. So I wrote her in. I didn't vote for that fucking. I'm not a complete maniac. I'm not going to vote for that. You can barely speak. So I wrote Tulsi in. And I was right about her, because I was singing her praises 2, 3, 4 fucking years ago. She's on the money. She really tells it like it is. And I've got respect for someone that was a Democrat, probably still is, registered one, but can see logic and reason and change the mind. Change your mind. If you're wrong, change your mind. I have respect for anyone that can do that. So I wrote her in, and this time around, I'll vote for whoever's on the Republican ticket. Personally, again, joking aside, everyone who loves the orange god, I don't think it should be Trump. He's not the best speaker. He's flawed in many ways. I think DeSantis should get the nomination. He's a better speaker. He's more eloquent, and he does all the same politics. So I don't think, joking aside, that Trump should be the boy. But the MAGA movement is bigger than Trump, isn't it? He started it, but it doesn't need to be Trump that continues it. All I want is a fucking president that puts me first. And as I've said, I don't see why that's complicated or in any way even remotely controversial. Merkel should care about Germans and put them first. Macron should care about the French and put them first. Boris should care about the British and put them first, and Biden should care about the Americans and put them first. And none of them fucking do it. And pointing at that lunacy doesn't make you right wing. It makes you sensible. And if you're left wing, old school leftists would say the same. All the ones me and Blue Van Man talked about on the podcast. There's loads of good old Tony Benn. There's fucking loads of good old left wing politicians. Michael Foot. They cared about their communities. They cared about their people in their towns and cities, in their communities. And the modern, wokeist, globalist, commie fuckpigs only care about this insane project to turn the whole planet into a giant, miserable melting pot. All they want to do is share the misery. The misery in Somalia, the miserable in Somalia, and the miserable in Algeria. So let's move fucking 500 million people from the third world to the first world. And let's make every bastard miserable. At least before, only half the world was fucking miserable. The grave new world that you're creating is going to make the whole fucking planet miserable. So well done. Cheers easy. What a load of bollocks. That was a great podcast, Blue Van Man. It was. And he brought me some crisp and cheese sandwiches. So what a champion. Right, I'm going to call it there, ladies and gents. I've got shit to do. Thank you for tuning in. As always, don't worry, I will be back tomorrow and we'll talk more bollocks then. All right, thanks for tuning in. Like it and share it if you can be asked. If there's a point to it, there probably isn't. There probably isn't. Susan's got me by the plums and everybody knows it. But it doesn't matter. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good day and watch the rest of that video. Oh, yeah, I'll put it in the links for you because it's fucking good.
They try to take away your gun.
There we are, on the Rubin Report. Just watch the whole thing. It's quality. The man is like Jesus. Jesus with strange hair and an odd tan. All right. Cheers, everyone. See you tomorrow. Take it easy.